My never I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there. I see them yopo.
Yo, busa for me mama akwaba at the mobile PENDREAM TV. So me pacho bon modern say over subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the channel no my na a like video no so FMI na bon modern so be share video no akọ viral ama amount for so to me enya bi ahwe na enne busa for enye easy right honorable speaker of parliament of Ghana Alban Sumana Bagbin, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin. Abekasa, a press conference, or any media for a share na abusha for say a be say Bagbin, Sabu Oyemra, Nipano, Agrobin Woody, Bagbin or Yemre, sir. Say Supreme Court fee say Bagbin or Yemre, we easy, or ye walk over or boa. And they are growing crowd with the abuja for Bagbin had to be. And they are money Supreme Court. Chief Justice talk on say, hey, madam, wouldn't mean cast there is a fine saying constitutional crisis. There is nothing like constitutional crisis in this country. The PNW is who room her. Now, but so we share form now we share the air coso now we do a knee a trium now so by can cray. I'm only constitutional dear Jumanabun said there is no anything like constitutional crisis. Moankasana mo per se, mo for to coin bisnamo ye bonny, editia Ghana man. Busha for me no can say in some bibli now cost me per se a call, na ye share the detailed press conference, the detailed messenger a year Alban Bagbin Sumana or they up to Ghana for name including Omanpenina Akuffo Addo any CJ. In fact, Emuyashi and Kasa. I say there is something there is fire on the mountain. There is fire on the mountain. Bribi besi. Abusa for air travel fence and border travel consult for say main phantom nim say ban we kwantu hu nsem say amanoni ba biara visa and some and now ticketing or say we fa be dom no na obe mpoa ama wonsa kan pepe unya problem bia abusa for number obetumi afre asiso 0303977006 0303977006 and that's 0500410070 0500410007 but offer omo a ombe sort out ombe ama bibiara akoso e di ama pepe abusa yanko na yenkoti Parliament of Ghana mra here speaker Asumana Bagbin ordaining someone atutu dwa e kire Ghana for.
I repeat, the Parliament of Ghana is alive and working. Let nobody mislead, misinform, or disinform you and the country. The democratic system we adopted and enacted, as captured in the Constitution 1992 and fleshed out in various laws, processes, procedures, and practices, is what has been triggered, and it is working. Let us allow it to work. Democracy is about the rule of law. Let the law work. The democratic system we adopted and enacted recognizes that in the course of operationalizing the system, disagreements will occur and challenges and problems will arise. The system has put in place mechanisms, structures and institutions, processes, procedures and rules to follow and apply to resolve the disagreement, convert the challenges into opportunities, and provide solutions to the problems. This is what is being pursued and applied. there is no constitutional crisis in the country. Beloved Ghanaians, I have served Parliament and the people of Ghana continuously for over 32 years as a politician and over 42 years as a public servant. I cherish the role Parliament plays in our democracy, and my mission is to leave Parliament a stronger institution than I met it. Parliament is alive and working. It has not been dissolved, prorogued, prohibited, suspended, or terminated. The plenary sitting and meetings of Parliament were adjourned indefinitely due to lack of quorum to take decisions created by a walkout staged by the MPP members who were available as a result of a disagreement. The cause of the disagreement, which led to a disorder, had to be resolved with time and engagement of many more leaders than those in Parliament. The adjournment was done by the lawful authority, the Speaker of Parliament. Let us stop pressing the panic buttons and fear-mongering and allow the system to work. Anger and indecent language rather inflames the situation. There can be no democracy without patience, tolerance, discipline, collaboration, the love for one another, and consensus building. Ladies and gentlemen, one may ask, what led to this disagreement? Following a statement by Honorable Dr. KCL Atuba-Forson on a matter he considered to be of urgent public importance on the 15th of October 2024, and comments thereof by other members as permitted by the standing orders of Parliament, I communicated the findings of my inquiry into the matter as the Speaker of House on the 17th of October 2024, the contents of which has been construed to be a ruling. The Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Marke disagreed vehemently with the contents of my communication as the Speaker of Parliament and proceeded to advance an earlier action he had commenced in the Supreme Court on the 15th of October 2024 to prevent the Speaker of Parliament from receiving and making any pronouncement on the subject matter of the statement made by Honorable Dr. KCL Atuba-Forson until the final determination of the matter by the Supreme Court. The rest, we say, is history. Ladies and gentlemen, being a party to the suit in my official capacity, I am mindful of what I say. But it must be said, the suit before the Supreme Court raises not just legal questions, but more importantly, has profound implications for our democratic system of governance. At its core is the very essence of our democracy. While many legal arguments have been advanced in and out of the court, I recognize the fact that connected political and governance implications have not been addressed sufficiently to enrich the national discourse. It is my considered view this should also be vigorously articulated to give a holistic approach to resolving the issue. As one of the protagonists in this matter, and a long-time practitioner, it will be a disservice not to respectfully draw your attention to some of the facts, principles, and ethics of politics and governance, the practice and procedures of Parliament, and what is generally referred to as parliamentary law, to throw light on some aspects of the matter and to clarify the considerations that underpinned my actions. The current brouhaha may be likened to a power play between the arms of government and has the potential to undermine our democracy and the authority of Parliament. Its outcomes could subvert Ghana's constitutional order and the democratic system. Ghanaians have toiled, sacrificed their lives, and shed blood to establish for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, recent acts of the judiciary and executive, and I see them as interference in the workings of Parliament, pose a direct challenge to the essence, jurisdiction, authority, powers, and functioning of the esteemed institution of Parliament, which is the repository of the sovereign will of the people of Ghana. It is increasingly becoming clear the judiciary and the executive are seemingly colluding to weaken Parliament. The decision to weaken clear the judiciary sovereign will of the people of Ghana. It is increasingly becoming clear the judiciary and the executive are seemingly colluding to weaken Parliament. The decision of the Ghanaian voters in the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections is clear and loud to all discerning people. The decision is obviously a preference for a consensual and collaborative governance to a winner-take-all government. The majoritarian system of Parliament, where the minority have a say, but the majority have its way, was rejected by the voters. They rather opted for inclusivity, collaboration, consensus building, leaving nobody behind. The equal representation of the two major parties in Ghana, resulting in the composition of a hung parliament, to the voters is the better way forward for our dear nation. The expectation of the voters is this will lead to the constitution of a parliament where the national interest will prevail as against partisan or parochial interests. This is the context and the peculiar situation I have to preside over as a speaker. I'm the first speaker in the Fourth Republic, in fact, in the history of Ghana, to work with a president who belongs to a different party, to work without a majority party in Parliament, but with an evenly divided Parliament, 137 apiece. That is a hung Parliament. Decision making has therefore not been smooth sailing. As the Speaker of Parliament, I hold the balance in favor of the national interest, but sometimes bend backwards to accede to government requests because government has been given the mandate to govern. It is with this understanding I led the board of the Parliamentary Service and members of Parliament to provide procedural rules of engagement to actualize this goal and to provide for the possible types of government as envisaged in the Constitution. These possibilities include an election of an independent president to form a government. Somebody who contests, as we have now, as an independent presidential candidate can be elected by the voters as the president of Ghana. How is he going to work with Parliament to get his or her business, that is government business, approved by Parliament? We have a possibility of a minority government where the voters vote for the president, but he has less members of Parliament, and that's a minority government. How is he going to get the majority members of Parliament to always approve his business for him to govern the nation? We can also have a coalition or a merger of parties government. And the familiar one we know is the majority government. These are possible governments constitutionally guaranteed in Ghana. In the current hung parliament, the new standing orders of Parliament had to cater for such a government by a number of provisions in the standing orders. We also provided provisions for all the other options of government that I just explained. For instance, a day which we call a decision day has been designated in the new standing orders, where the Speaker, in consultation with the leadership of the House, will set aside to allow members of Parliament who are ministers and deputy ministers the opportunity to be present in Parliament to be counted in support of government position to ensure government business does not suffer for lack of government members of Parliament in Parliament. Despite the above, often the number of government members present still don't add up due to the nature of the duties and responsibilities of ministers and deputy ministers. The NDC members of Parliament, however, understood the situation and on a daily basis cooperated with the NPP members of Parliament to see government business through. In spite of this, the NDC members are said to be saboteurs of government business by the NPP members of Parliament and the followers of the new patriotic party. Those of you who cover proceedings on a daily basis are witnesses as to how sometimes I have to look at the members of the NDC in a very stern manner, which made them give in to their objections, just to get government business going. Ladies and gentlemen, The powers of the judiciary ends where the nose of Parliament starts. The Constitution is very clear on freedom of speech and of proceedings of Parliament. Articles 115 and 116. And that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Parliament. Article 116. Subject to the provisions of this article, but without prejudice to the general effect of Article 115 of this Constitution, civil or criminal proceedings shall not be initiated against a member of Parliament in any court or place out of Parliament for any matter or thing brought by him in or before Parliament by petition, bill, motion, or otherwise. This means happenings in Parliament must remain in Parliament. And has always been hesitant to interfere in the proceedings and decisions of Parliament. In the celebrated case of Akuffo versus the Attorney General, the Supreme Court affirmed that happenings in Parliament are a closed book. Despite these provisions, the courts are replete with debates and proceedings of Parliament. Most worrying is these proceedings are initiated by some members of Parliament, even leaders of Parliament, who ought to know better. Parliamentarians who are to be loyal to Parliament rather than to the Supreme Court run to the Supreme Court at the slightest opportunity to use the Supreme Court to undermine Parliament. This might be one of the reasons Parliament and members of Parliament are not respected and treated with disdain. This was exhibited by the President's refusal to even receive the LGBTQ plus bill, duly processed and passed by Parliament without any legal basis. The judiciary is supportive of this conduct by the receipt and processing of a suit on this subject matter. These are dangerous precedents in our democratic journey. Both the President and the judiciary have sinned against the Constitution and must seek the opportunity to confess and repent to be forgiven. I am confident the battles we are fighting today will make our democracy stronger and more vibrant in the future. I believe in the supremacy of the Constitution. Mark my words, the supremacy of the Constitution, not the supremacy of the judiciary or Supreme Court. I also believe in a vibrant Parliament that is respected and accorded its due on political questions as long established by law and decided cases. A Parliament that understands, reflects, and embodies the will of the people and defends its constitutional prerogatives only works in the interest of Ghana and Ghanaians, not a rubber stamp parliament subservient to the whims and caprices of the executive and or the judiciary. Again, I strongly believe that Parliament was one of the institutions President Barack Obama had in mind when he opined, while in Ghana in 2009, that Africa needs strong institutions and not strong men. I'm happy he didn't add women. Parliament must be strong to perform its legislative function and the indispensable function of holding the president to account. That is the oversight function. No other person or body has the gravitas and constitutional mandate to do so in Ghana. The public, media, civil society, and other partners in governance can make constructive inputs and criticize actions and omissions of arms of government. But these bodies are not constitutionally and legally structured and mandated to hold the executive to account. Parliament is elected. It is, at its best, the will of the people, legally and constitutionally structured and mandated to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, my dream, therefore, is a patriotic one. The existence of a firm, effective, efficient, and responsive parliament whose members place national and constituency interests ahead of narrow, partisan, or personal interests. At last, this is yet to materialize in Ghana. Parliament weakens itself when its members keep running to our courts to settle or seek favorable determinations of not just legal matters, but essentially political and governance questions. It is my strong belief the matter before the Supreme Court can be settled within Parliament through matured deliberations and compromises. Please, make no mistake. Not all the strong men President Obama warned us about come in military uniforms. Some come dressed in suits. I hope in my lifetime, Ghana shall have a parliament and a speaker who are truly independent from Jubilee or Flagstaff House or any headquarters in the conduct of parliamentary business. Let me state unequivocally, Parliament owes its duty to the people who established and elected its members to serve and represent them. The wheels of Parliament will continue to turn, and no person will be allowed to disrupt parliamentary proceedings or to undermine the democratic mandate of Parliament. When I ruled in January 2021 on the issue of which side constitutes majority and minority in Parliament, the ruling was in favor of the majority group then. It was not an act of lawlessness as to cause constitutional crisis. When I ruled in the matter of the vacation of seats by Honorable Kennedy Ajapong, Honorable Henry Korti, and Honorable Sarah Adjoa Safo, the question of the interpretation of the Constitution was not raised. When my predecessor declared the former seat vacant in 2020, applying the same provisions of Article 97, the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce provisions of the Constitution was not invoked. Peace reigned in these instances, and nobody cried and ran to the Supreme Court under the guise of constitutional interpretation. If I may ask, is it a legal matter for the Supreme Court to decide as to which side of the House constitute the majority or minority? It is for good reason that justice is said to be blind, and further, that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done in all cases, not in only those cases to which some people appear to be sentimentally attached. Fellow Ghanaians, I respectfully call on the Supreme Court to apply the same swiftness with which the motion ex parte in the instant matter was granted to the case involving the president's refusal to receive the Human Rights and Family Values Bill passed by Parliament, which has been pending before the same court for almost a year without being heard. Ladies and gentlemen, consistency is not just an ideal, but the foundation of life. The court cannot enjoin 4 members of Parliament from serving their constituents for 12 weeks, but was very eager to deny the constituents of Assin-North their representation because of the issue of allegiance. The court cannot deny the constituents of Sal the sanctity of representation for years. The court cannot even see that the Constitution itself permits a denial of representation within 3 months to the holding of a general election. It's in the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, the Parliament of Ghana shall commence sitting as by law prescribed from tomorrow, November 7th, 2024. I have earlier instructed the Clerk to Parliament to transmit the LGBTQ plus bill to the President for assent. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I'm aware of the business the government wants to transact through Parliament, and I'm willing to cooperate and collaborate with government. Despite all that I have said, Ghana first. And all Ghanaians should bear the President, Parliament, the Judiciary, and all our leaders in prayer for the betterment of our people and country. With this, I thank you all for your attention. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Yeah.
The Right Honourable Speaker of the 8th Parliament with that address. May we please be seated? This is the Speaker's press conference, and he will now take questions from members of the media. We will take them in tranches of 4. Please, brevity is the name of the game. So you get up, you tell us your name, your media house, and then your question.
Enti abusiafo aha ena yede enkomo no abisi eno ena eye the right Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Sumana, Bagbin, Alban, Kingsford, or no enawabe kasa de and some atoto honum. Actually say, what say from hence? Ghana nibiati asiyese. They as parliament are accounted to the people of Ghana and not the executive, the presidency, or the judiciary, or the CJ, Chief Justice. No. Ebre awie do say yema institutions no eye adwuma. Enye showing of power and showing of muscles. This is what some of us are praying and expecting of the Speaker of Parliament or our institutions as a whole. Obusia, ebre awie do say institutions e wo krom ha etumi fechire omonsen kachire encrophobia omon no fi say amanyo sem no ana democracy no eye wonom a wo mo ahoden wo mo no manya tumi na wo de tumi no abra mrase na wo no wo de ope aye de ope say etumi sichire yensen ne e kachire omo say hey, it's not about your power, it's about the constitution of Ghana. And no ena eye Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin can say abusiafo baby ya dru no munya abotreo na yemfa emra enye adwuma e wo Ghana, yemfa mra enye adwuma e wo Ghana. Anya hwekura no me matena ban mu o say mama so many decisions, so many rulings e wo parliament manya sabio a confirm achechede ado controfi anaso osono bi ama osono no amesebi amfa me ruling no anko court ebra ye to abawiye na 137 sa 137 no obi anya majority mia na mede me pay ni tumi a parliament di ama me and I say me ye MPP for majority ewo mi ankasa ma adwene mu me ye no NDC fo ansori amfa ma anko court mo soso ma amfa me anko court mo je penye je because me mama mu tumi sa na mama ruling soso ha e de ti ansem bebre ha obi amfa ma anko court na adenti na nedie machechire mo nse gidigidi mo ko Supreme Court akwaje mwai dia na ekoso dia na esie a entimu tu sa na mo no na mo nim sa mo ye parliamentarians na mo yes you are undermining the integrity of the parliament na wutimu no a wonim sa parliament in show bia say sabio mrano oko technically mrano kire say so we president krampo presidency free hon mo a ye parliament of Ghana na eba. It is a president kura eni hon na president in Niwa, not the vice president in Niwa, a speaker of parliament assuming as the president of or acting as the president of Ghana. And sana ebi as a speaker so Niwa about judiciary so. Don't you know this? The DNA ekoso enti sabi muntu mi mfa sa amra nya adwuma muntu mi enhwe munhu se parliament ye ba bia sabi etumi ewo hanom parliament wo se didie bi ye de ma omo because untumi ma enka se emra mo de mra ba ye adwuma abaye de mo pe na sabio ye integrity ye de ye adwuma ewo parliament no mo de abetwitwi fom also ono Speaker of Parliament on tenase ne on tenase china e masabi ubiara amfa speaker anim betwitwi form emfa parliament anim betwitwi form not under his watch abusiafo nye MPP fo hwehwe no omonsa beka ti Akuffo Addo hwehwe no nsa beka sorry akwese judiciary nachi na wo maame sabi penyini a sabi e wo so hu nyansa ni nimde na wohwɛ atɛwuma atɛntene a ɛde Ghana sumdwe bɛba Ghana ɛbɛma sɛbi wachi ayɛ nyam na sɛbi yɛ bodin yɛbɛtumi abodin aka asɛm sɛ yes Chief Justice we deɛ no ɔte akonnwa so no na ɔyɛ n'adwuma diligently o make sure sɛ nye mmara ne ka no ɛno no ɔhwɛ ɛnyɛ ne sɛbio politicians bi push ne so ɔnkɔyɛ na mmom wabɛtena hɔ ɛbɛyɛ ho te sɛ bibi huhu bi asi krom there is a saying constitutional crisis bi na asi constitutional crisis no when Bagbin said there is nothing like constitutional crisis madam ɛntro oh do your politics hwemuna your politics there is nothing like any constitutional crisis dey free fa ewa hifa ade a me rule ye no sabi enye this is not the first time me predecessor watu sa na mon bi da obi an kahwe supreme court an kahwe obi an tu na mon ye de adwuma me so me ba he me so ma rulings bi ho no nobody offense seek the interpretation of those rulings are memaye all because it benefited the offense MPP adding na ne the same things aye na me so ma be ye and na your predecessors aye rulings o ma take na me so ma be take a men kwa me de ne de mo say afi de mo interpretation say okoto de anase nyanya nkyere de ne bodwe nyite sa nyanya nkyere de se chese ne bodwe osamu hu se abaya de bo teach ya de boba so we nyansani na wadwene mu da ho na wani ate na onim de speaker of parliament kana abusiafo wo so hu se MPP for mo fa easy chief justice o ni sam hunu no mudi enkosi aga ni omo hwehwe no so omo yo madwe so mbe pushi till so omo nsa be kan it will not work say speaker of parliament anti ase na say enya juma o cited for contempt omo so be cited for contempt and there's nothing you can do about it ka less than 1 month amayakoto aba moto mbehwe kwan ya mbefa so any majority fo na omaba foforo NDC fo no atumi aka mo ho abom na mapa o macho na fe government business e koso no kamatumi atututu mo nhwe eno mo pe majority na mo pe na mo de ayemo deals there be enya adwuma to no work sabi majority no kompo de maamo no e ono speaker na de ne pe e de maamo ka there wouldn't be anything like majority in parliament. Because there wouldn't be anything like majority in parliament. What I say? Entino monhwe na munsua nyansa. Na babi aduru no anibre has come. Bia mpere ma onfa na nim twitwiri fomo. Na wo ma me te kono akotena ha no me kasa oboso. Na wo ha ka just speaker don't win kasa na boso. Wo chan speaker. Ye yi adwuma krampo to nchan utipen no. Sabi ye yi adwuma kra to nchan utipen no. Ni ye de adwuma krampo ba sabi ye ka experience speaker wo e wo ni law mu a wo utipen speaker. On what na parliament from the offense beginning of parliament constitution wo asua wo de be ye adwuma no ono wa kire omo na twero constitution oto obi o kan bi the committee na omo draft the constitution. He's part of it. He knows every into bibia a course nyenti a omo twero we nyenti omo the way show he knows everything because he was part of the 1993 offense parliament, the first parliament. And the team, the committee that wrote the constitution, that drafted the constitution. And the day now person wo kire I won no abeye speaker of parliament no money rulings wa kwetena ba bi be make ade na look like so a small boy bi na as onim ne oye decision o taking no and na wo na ba kire parliament the omonye. How dare you? Asa ye ndi agrobiem o ye ndi agrobiem so pa be fa kwan no so na ye ntu anamo e be bo oman no be fa mra so ye mbehwe mra no nti na o kan ye no se masa this time opesu Ghana for nyinati ase say or no speaker of parliament or ma ho kwan and no sabio on some any individual bi okrum ha except the presidency, the judiciary, never. Supreme constitution, no. The supreme constitution, no. Or dying. Said you be a dance our constitution. You want to mean your koto. Yes, Speaker Bagbin. I didn't answer Mono Abeton. My wish for PENDREAM TV so and Masugu so amuti and said me kind a kind a border cross consort for border cross travel and consort for say main country mo say mope akwantu upa akwantu bia ho nsensem atua say abrochire amanone Europe na say the friend saying America and say Asia wherever baby a opese okobia fa bedan omo they are trusted ade no nya o make catch so nya problem so e wo ho no we dey wa try be 3 times 4 times we dey bra problem no be chiro problem kro no ma big issues o mo abebo mo solve problem no o mo ma osika enkoka mo baby a number bit me afro mo asiso 0303977006 0303977006 and 050041 0007 050041 patch of border cross travel and tour for from our catch so of our number no PENDREAM TV send be on to me I attend it to you a year abusia for PENDREAM TV message say who adventure be all the kind na ho afato comment section no as na pushy ma other people so no mo so answer to me kabi no mo share video no be abusia for PENDREAM TV you say Adam yopo
ya mobo wo Ghana etisika so o menya ohia mai nenam amamu a enkoyie enti no ekom de
the country where I come from, the truth is irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are them go so confused the call. Now by area why no better. We are them go so confused the call. One guy's out here why no better. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Na your friend on a nine come asem. Only baby obeka na sembia. So and one kwa obetu etu. Everybody was afraid. And when tina nantuma koteti ajenai. Once na bo dumping one anachi. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku drofo nyina dalima. Enti who go say the truth? Obiadra konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo. When you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be manu mo pia for efo. Ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku trofo nyina dalima. Enti who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yeah, the bee, the bottom and the bee. Kachi say, would your mouth pipi numa? Would your mind never shine my frafonsa? But who go tell the truth? TUC, silence. Even journalists, silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right, wrong is wrong. No matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day them go resist.
My never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Dedi kama amena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.
PENDREAM TV. Nyame shira opani eduma kesi awoye. Debi amehwe on YouTube and all other social media platforms. It's Ramomongo follow PENDREAM TV. Very fantastic. Doing a lot of the channel.